Every year, millions of tons of building material ends up in landfill. Let me show you how we did this differently. We turned waste into wonder and built with the planet and your pocket in mind. We started with a farmhouse that had seen better days. Parts of it had to go, but instead of sending the materials to landfill, we looked at everything as a resource. If you're thinking of building or renovating, consider what you already have. You might be very surprised by what it can become. We reused all of the concrete blocks from the old kitchen. These were repurposed into the footings and foundations of the new kitchen and for our bedroom. And what happened to the old stone from the barn or the oats house? We turned that into a feature wall in our living room, as you can see here. The rest of the stone here will be used to create walls and flower beds here at the front of the house. We kept all of the old beams, sanded them back and coated them in tung oil here in the snug and also here in the guest bedroom. I especially love this one in the guest bedroom because this is an original and is just like a piece of tree that has been left here. And we tung oiled that and it's come back lovely. Even the insulation for our new floors was secondhand. They were offcuts from a modular construction company that would have otherwise gone to landfill. Rob might be able to tell us a little bit more about this insulation.
So when we moved into the house, or when we came to the house, we opened the attic and we saw there was a very thin piece of insulation, and I thought, great, we could recycle that. However, when we came to take the roof apart, we realized that it was only in the very top part and all the sides of the roof had no insulation. So effectively we had nothing at all to use. So we looked about what type of insulation we wanted. We looked at the sheep's wool, we looked at the hemp sort of stuff. We looked at loads of different types. We looked at the traditional rock wool, and yeah, we weren't really bothered what to use, but the one thing was everything was really, really expensive. So I started to look about what alternatives you could use, and I can't remember who did it. There was somebody found some spare insulation that was offcuts from a factory. I don't know where it was, some YouTube channel somewhere. So I started to look, was there any offcuts, and I found this stuff. And this is Kingspan. It's brand new, never been used, and it's for modular homes, like for schools and for buildings or offices, and they're all cut to size. And what you found is you had offcuts basically, and just to show you how new it was, the plastic is still on it, and there's a lovely black aluminium finish on it, and at the very back as well there's a white aluminium finish, so this will never rust, it'll never go off or anything. And you can peel off and you can take whatever little layers you want. These are the 2 layers I think you took for your...
I took them for my hives. Yeah. They were super handy. So you can cut it to any shape you want and remove the metal easy enough.
It's a little
or
bit
keep
awkward
the metal on,
it's so thick.
You know. Yes, it is very thick, which is a bonus for your house, obviously,
yeah, it's
and your floor.
To take this off. It can be done, but it's awkward. So what we mostly used it for was we just laid it for floor insulation.
Yeah.
A little bit upstairs, we had some offcuts that were exactly, I think, 35 centimeters width.
That's right.
Which is about the same width as a stud frame we have.
Yeah, we have a lot more of it here because we plan to do this barn floor in the same when we come to do the barn.
Skinny ones there, and I think they're 20 centimeters. So if you got this insulation, and you could actually size your studs to suit if you wanted to use it for the wall.
Yes.
And then you just get a little bit of kind of the tape. Anyway, what I got was, I think I went up and I did
2 horseback loads.
I did 2 trips, and I fitted in 3 pallets into each horse box, and they were charging €50 a pallet. So what we see here was probably about 8 times this amount that's left over, 8 to 10 times. I don't know if I can find a video, or maybe you found a video.
I found those.
But we had them all stacked, all at the back. We had so much, and it was brilliant because when we were putting down the new floors, like all of the floor has this insulation, and because this is compressed, it's about the same size as 300 millimeters of a standard insulation. So it was really, really good. It was a great buy. It was a bit far to go, and
Was Limerick, was it?
it was Limerick, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to say where it was, or if anybody is interested, give a shout and we can probably pass on the number. I think they're looking for people to take it away.
Well, when I went up, maybe I did 3 loads, but when I went up the first time, I could just take what I wanted. And when I rang him the second time, I was on a waiting list.
Yes.
Because there was other people that were
Yes,
looking for
that's
it.
true.
But,
so we were waiting for him to come back to us.
Yeah. So I think for ground, it's brilliant. For the walls, you can use it, but probably you want to adjust your walls to the size. And it might even be good for a roof if you were going to put something in.
Do you know what? I think actually looking at it now, it might be best to get it first and then work around where you can put it, like you said, because we actually at that stage had a lot of our timber framing and our walls done.
Yeah.
So we were able to use some of it, but not all of the sizes because it's time consuming to cut. But however, huge saving.
Yeah. 1,000 saved. Very happy with that.
Yes. And while we're here, we might just talk about this.
Thermal?
The solar thermal, yes, because that's actually something else that's recycled that I hadn't even thought about mentioning in this video.
Yeah,
but
a lot of people actually, they put these, there was a nice grant in Ireland for these, and they put them on their roof, and it only does hot water effectively, so if you're at full hot water capacity, it's a bit pointless having these up there. So a lot of people take them off and they put on the PV panels, which just generates electricity. You can use that for whatever you want. So if you keep an eye out, you can pick these up pretty cheap.
Yes.
So I think brand new, this would have been around €3,500. I think, I want to say I picked it up for around 150.
Yes.
Was it?
Yes, I think so.
Now I haven't installed it, and I had to do the piping myself for it, but it's just another one of those things. And like when you have land, like you can put these anywhere. So it's not like we're gonna run out of space. So
Yeah,
we did think, would we use PV? Would we just buy extra PV to heat the water? Or would we just use this? I suppose it's just nice to have everything really.
We had this at home. My dad put this in and we just had constant hot water. So
He
we
installed it
do.
himself?
No, he got someone to do it, I think. But we did have one, and I do know how good they are. And we also mentioned it to the guy who's doing our solar, and he still recommended them very much so for hot water. So we're looking forward to putting that together at some stage.
Pretty much everything in this barn is recycled. You can look here. These are loads of French doors that came, I think, were they with the house or?
Yes, they came with the house. It's just they're very short, so we don't know what to do with them. So yeah, that's another recycled item. While we're in the barn and while we're talking recycling, what did you want to talk about, Rob, up here?
Well, this is the barn that we're eventually going to turn into the party barn, but the reason we haven't taken it down yet is it's actually full of materials that we plan to use at different points. Like if you can see, the whole barn at the very top is the original, I think maybe about 100 years old. All the old woods. The panels, I think, they came secondhand from a barn in Drimoleague that apparently the previous owner, he just threw them on the back of his tractor and he drove them over here and he assembled the barn himself. So I won't use them, they'll go to scrap. But you can see this has been replaced with all pretty much brand new panels, and they're perfect. So I'm going to use them for a project. So in the meantime, like, why would I take this barn apart and dismantle it?
What's really nice about those actually as well is they don't have a lot of holes in. We've recycled a lot of these on different buildings for hens and chickens and things, but they've had a lot of beams across, so you've had holes. Whereas here you've really only got top and bottom.
They're not very wide though.
No, maybe not. But anyway, that's on another.
And the other thing that's interesting about here is we're going to convert this into a party barn. So we have big plans for this place. But I didn't know, I thought I could just reclad it and maybe put new internal framing. And then we looked maybe at these old steels, or what we thought were steels, but they're actually railway tracks. And you can see there, they look a little bit worn out. So I had thought that they were not going to last. And then I spoke to my neighbor, Mike, and he said that Jesus, these old steel tracks, they last forever, and they'd last another 100 years. So I felt good about that. And then I spoke to my brother-in-law, who was an engineer, and he said probably they wouldn't last, get them replaced. So we're like, oh shoot. And then we actually, one of the last people that came out was a friend of my son. His father is a steel worker, a forge worker. And he said that steel is incredible and that'll last forever. And he actually climbed up and started knocking on it. He said it's fine. So we're still not sure how we're going to build it, but we want to reuse as much as we can. This concrete though is very thin. So we'll knock the concrete between the posts and this will all form rubble as well. So we have like all our hardcore all set up. We have some building materials, but probably
no, I'd say the beams are, although it's actually the cross pieces here, the wall plate,
but they would be oak, so they're like pushing on 80 to 100 years, so they will be really, really good for furniture. And like they've weathered some serious storms, they're all still going, so we will recycle as much as this. If we pop up to the other barn, I'll show you what we've already recycled. So here we're standing in our first barn. We took off, I would say, about a third of it in order to just make some room for our corner of our kitchen. Really just so we could access the side, and we have to open this up to do work there in the future, let's say. But I took down all the wooden posts. I took down all the wooden beams and all the wooden purlins, and I've actually used them in the solar panel array mount.
Yes.
That wood is actually really, really good. It's super strong.
Yeah, and they're quite thick actually.
They're very thick. And they've been coated in, I don't know what, some sort of an old creosote
like a tar
or something.
Yeah.
Maybe some bitumen. So they're actually like rock hard.
Yeah.
Like on the inside, and really dense. You don't get woods that dense because wood is grown very quick. But if you look at a cross section of it, it's like really dense fibers and very strong. So I look at this, and this is all
recycled. Yeah. Is this project. Actually this part of a railway line track? Looks like the bottom part.
These.
Yeah. This funny.
Yeah. This is a railway track. You can see it here. You can see
but
the holes
top
where the
part.
pins used to go in.
Yeah.
So this is more railway track, I think. Half of West Cork was built with the old railway tracks. That's been turned into a greenway, and this big huge piece of angle iron is from an old co-op, an old mart that was taken down to build a new mart.
Yes.
And this bar that goes across there, I believe, was like a cattle railing at the old mart. So these were all bits. Like to build these farmhouses way back in the day, there was nothing bought new, really.
No,
everything was recycled.
It's crazy, really, when you think of it.
I suppose you couldn't get material really easily anyway.
No.
And also there was value seen in
and
things.
It's expensive, yeah.
No, but nobody threw out anything.
No.
You
It's true.
didn't live in a disposable sort of a
yeah,
world.
definitely.
So it's amazing to see absolutely everything recycled. And when we saw that, we kind of wanted to try and recycle as much as ourselves. So it's not just about getting your latest lime or whether you're using the right sheep's wool insulation. It's not about building the house right, because way back then, 100 years ago in Ireland, there was no right or wrong way to build a house. The correct way was using whatever you had available to you. So it's more of a philosophy that went to building these vernacular properties as opposed to a technique. I think that's important.
Yeah. We made choices to reduce our carbon footprint at every step. For example, we left the old concrete floors in place rather than digging them up in the snug and the parlour. Our new extension wraps around the old house in timber frame because trees absorb carbon as they grow, making timber a much greener choice. For the outside of the new build, we used locally grown Irish larch, sourced from Duhallow sawmills. It's durable, beautiful, and reduces the footprint of transporting materials from long distances or from other parts of the world. By recycling, reusing, and sourcing locally, we didn't just save money, we saved time, hauling costs, and the environment. Every decision was a small act of care for the future. Thanks again for watching and subscribing and commenting and liking. It all really, really helps us. I just thought of one more thing that we had recycled, our Rob recycled while we were here, and that is our sink stand, which was made from one of the old sleepers which we found in the barn, which I guess probably came from the old West Cork Railway, which we were talking about earlier. So I thought, look, let's just give that a little shout out.
I think that was actually the workbench, wasn't it? In the Oates house?
Might have been the workbench in the Oates house, yes. But prior to that, I guess it was used as a sleeper.
Yeah, from the railway,
Thanks again, and we'll see you next time. Gurv Mila Mahagat.
Slán go fóill. I thought of one more thing. You were doing really good. Just carry it.